Welcome to the Wanderers History Podcast. This is your host speaking here, and I wanted to do a quick, brief update, a half a year notification. I usually do one at the end of each year, and now we've just went past June. We're in July, and I wanted to give everyone a quick update about where the podcast could be, where it's moving, how I feel at the moment. I would like to first of all thank all of you for tuning in, those who are listening, those who are subscribed, and enjoying the content of this podcast. This year, I've managed to complete and do a series looking at some of the most important doges in 16th century Venetian history, which was really, really good to revisit old notes, some great history books from way back my honors days and postgrad days. And for sure, I will always want to return to events, questions, other topics related to diplomacy, economics, warfare in this period. This was just to give folks interested who want to learn more about this segment of European/Italian/Venetian history, somewhat of I would think, a decent introduction. The initial plan was to move on from this series and go to the other one looking at the 16th century popes in continuation of the rulers and monarchs of the 16th century Mediterranean series. And for sure, I'll go back to that. Just wanted to take a break from this broader series and format. At the moment, I'm really enjoying doing the Traveller Diaries in the 16th century Mediterranean series, now looking at Excerpta Cypria and Cyprus, because those are primary sources and windows into the past, where the reader and the audience can make up their own minds and imagine what certain aspects of life were back then. I want this to become somewhat of a regular series. I'll come back and forth with it. And I'll want to record travelers' records from Malta, Northern Africa, the Greek Peninsula, the Levant, the Ottoman Empire, and so on and so forth. These are very interesting documents, and I really enjoy reading them out loud to you, the public. Once I'll be done with this mini era looking at the 16th century and Cyprus, and I'll continue to do those episodes even looking at post-1571 and the Ottoman conquest of Cyprus, the transition from Venetian Cyprus to Ottoman Cyprus. After that, most likely I'll return to round up the broader rulers and monarchs of the 16th century Mediterranean series and look at some of the most important popes. And I've got some brilliant sources, the Medici popes, and looking towards that. That will probably be the rest of the year. I'll spend covering that. There's about, I would say, maybe seven to 9 episodes of Excerpta Cypria, then go back at the popes. So if all goes well, and hopefully I've got enough time, I'll be eager to move on and look into 2 or 3 subjects which have always interested me. And in fact, I've studied in throughout my 3rd and 4th year with my special subject in history. And that is, I'll want to go and talk more about the 30 Years' War. For the time being, I do not know the format I would like to use, whether to do like a short chronological history, a series looking at the generals of this conflict, or reading some accounts of the sheer destruction and the magnitude of the 30 Years' War in the German lands of the Holy Roman Empire. It'll be probably a combination of all those, and it might require me to talk about the evolution of the 17th century warfare, talk about the likes of Tilly, Wallenstein, Gustav Adolf, Alexander Leslie, but also statesmen like Axel Oxenstierna, Richelieu, Mazarin, and others. It's a gargantuan historical topic, and there's so many sources that I would like to look at, from Peter Wilson to scholars who have written in the previous century, and the ones doing some extraordinary research on not just warfare, but like socioeconomic aspects of the 30 Years' War. I'll also want to speak about the contextualization of this, because the 30 Years' War overlaps with other wars like the 80 Years' War, the Wars of the Three Kingdoms, the Franco-Spanish War, and others. Would love to be able to record interviews with lecturers and professors who are experts on various topics regarding this conflict. It's all a matter of time, balancing things with my other jobs. We'll see if all is well with time, and hopefully this will lead the podcast into a new direction, because I absolutely love when people on this podcast, the listeners, know how much I love the 16th century, but the 17th century I just see as it's a remarkable continuation of the 16th. It's a sequel that in which the consequences of the previous century, the 16th, with what we see the emergence of Protestantism, shifts within diplomacy and the economies of those early modern states in Europe and in the New World, things start to evolve dramatically. In the meantime, I would like to thank you, the listener, for listening to this more informal episode and somewhat of an update. If you haven't subscribed already to the channel, I'd be very grateful if you did. It really does help this channel a lot. I'm close to 2/3 of 1,000 subscribers, so that is quite exciting for someone who posts more or less once every 2 weeks now, because things are always complicated when it comes to work and having a bit of free time and all of that. The next episode will return to the world and of 16th century Cyprus. It's a lovely account of Fabriano Falchetti, an account of what happened at the taking of Nicosia by someone, Falchetti, who was taken prisoner on September 9th, 1570. Until the next time, I wish you all the best.